All right, good evening. We are back testing November the 21st to November the 25th, 2022. So first things first, let's check out the news that we got going on there for the week. So Monday, we actually don't have any news going on, so we don't have to mark up anything on our chart for news. So let's identify our daily liquidity. So here is our previous day low here. We can already see that because we are closer towards the previous day low, that it is most likely that we are going to sweep that area, and then we can look for a EM2 or EM3. So let's also mark up our session liquidity here, because if we still haven't swept the previous day low, or aka daily liquidity for EM1 model, we are either looking for a sweep of session liquidity and then a 10-minute market structure shift, and then we can take our entry towards the previous day low. Or we could also look for the variation 2, which involves this session low as a premium array, but in this case we can see that the previous day low is pretty close by, so that variant is pretty unlikely to occur. Okay, so previous session high, and then just in case a EM3 occurs, we want to mark up the session low as a premium array. Okay, so the bias on ES is bearish. Let's take a look here on NASDAQ. NASDAQ, it actually looks like we swept the previous day low already. So when this occurs, when we have one instrument that sweeps daily liquidity, but the other one is still pending, I'm not looking to take any entries on NASDAQ until ES has met that daily liquidity target. But in the case that ES does sweep that previous day low, it's kind of looking like we're setting up nicely here for a EM2 towards one of these session highs. Okay, now, all right. Okay, let's go into the 10-minute time frame, and then let's see what happens. This is pretty choppy PA so far, so not really looking for any entries until that session high is taken. And even then, this PA is just moving so erratic that depending on how the order block looks, I wouldn't even be that interested in taking it. So something to keep in mind as well, it is possible, and let me make this clear, it's possible but unlikely, that instead of us looking for that sell, we could also look for a buy towards the previous day high. And essentially the way that would work is we break the session high, we react off of the session high as an area of discount, and then we have a 10-minute break of structure, and then we take a buy towards the previous day high. But because NASDAQ has swept the previous day low, I am only interested in taking the previous day low on ES, as I'm looking to take trades with these two instruments aligned. So that's just a quick note there for you guys. We can see here that we swept the previous session high, so I am looking for a 10-minute market structure shift, which can be identified at this low here. Okay, we created a new one. Now, whenever we're looking for a 10-minute market structure shift, we want to mark up the 10-minute swing high, and then we want to look for the actual break of structure to occur on the 5-minute time frame. I just decided to do it that way, as if I waited for the 10-minute to close, I'd be missing a lot of opportunities. But this way, I'm still sort of taking a 10-minute market structure shift, but I'm just waiting for it to occur on the 5-minute. So next we want to draw our fib tool on the candle that broke structure. We can see that the candle body did not close below these two red lines, so we want to see if the next 3 candles does close below. If it does, then we can look for an entry potentially. So we can see that the second candle broke structure, so we can look for an entry here. However, with that being said, this is a pretty large order block, so this is probably not even something I'd be looking to take. However, just taking a quick look at the 8-minute time frame, we can see that there is this order block that we can enter off of. Now keep in mind that sometimes, majority of the time we'd look for 5-minute order block entries. However, we can look for the cleanest order block within the 5 to 15-minute time frames. It's just whatever is clean at the time. Because we have no news going on here, this is a safe entry to take towards the previous day low here, and because the stop loss is below the 30 ticks there, we can take this for a 4R profit target. Now bear in mind, this strategy normally looks for a strict 3R target. However, I've been doing some recent testing, and it suggests, well, these are very custom rules really depending on the instrument, but for ES, if the stop loss is below 30 ticks, it's safe to take a 4R trade. However, for our backtesting purposes, I will just be journaling the 4R, but I am actually only interested in taking 3R for this trade. Okay, so we can see here that we unfortunately did not get any entry with our 8-minute order block. Now, some may argue that this candle right here could have been the order block, which we can see it would have entered beautifully. However, I'm like, this is not a order block within a premium. So for that reason, I'm just not at all interested in taking it. Whereas if we look at this range here and the candle that completed the close, at the bare minimum, this candle was at least near that 50% line, so I'm more inclined to take it off that order block. So we're going to count this as an opportunity being that everything for this entry came about, but we just did not get any entry, unfortunately. So an opportunity stop loss size is 20. Okay, so EM1 V1 as in variant 1, yes, no entry, risk, we didn't risk anything, AM session 20. Okay, so now that we swept that previous day low, we can now look for either a EM3 model or we can look for a EM2 reversal. So first we need to confirm our previous session low, which is right here. So let's go to the 10-minute time frame here. We can see that we had some sideways action. We swept the low. So the next high we'd be essentially needing to sweep for a market structure shift would be this. However, I'm not really liking that too much. I genuinely want to see it break a little bit lower first, so I'm not going to be looking for a reversal as of now, because the whole point of the reversal is that we have some sort of fake out to the downside, and then we sort of have a we're at such an area of a discount that a reversal is just very high probable. So let's just see what happens here. Okay, we had our break. Okay, so we can see here that we did end up having the break right there. And if we go on to the 5-minute time frame, we can see that even if we were looking for an entry here, it just would not have worked out really, because it would have been invalidated by our market structure shift rules. So this is not a valid entry. This is not even an entry at all, really. So, which is all good. It happens. And then we can see the market close. So for ES, no ups there. What time did we sweep the previous day low here? 11:50. So I'm not looking to take any EM2 or EM3 models on NASDAQ until I had that previous day low swept, unless I was taking a EM3. So essentially, I just want to follow this bias because I know for a fact it's bearish. As we swept the previous day low on NASDAQ, so ES is going to follow. So, well, we didn't know what happened at the time, right? Because I still haven't back tested this portion here. But for now, let's mark up our premium areas here. Okay, so we know we already swept that area there. We're not looking to take any buys, so let's just play this through like if we're still looking for a sell on ES. So you could see here that, yeah, we did have a 10-minute break of structure right there. But while we were looking at ES at 8 a.m., we could see that we're still looking for a sell, so we would not be at all interested in any buys. And for very good reason. And see, we even swept the previous session high again. Let's just take a quick look here at the previous. Yeah, it's the previous day low. Okay. Let's see what happens. Yep. Break downwards. The problem here is with the EM3 model. The EM3 only really works if we get an entry almost immediately after taking out the previous day low. But in this case, we swept the low, we came up, we did a whole bunch of more action, and then we came all the way back down again. So I'm not interested in looking for EM3. I'd just be looking for the EM1 on ES, right? Because we didn't know at 10:50, right? Because we're looking at both charts at the same time, that ES was gonna take that previous day low, so we had to wait for it to occur. So it happened at 11:50, I believe it was. Yeah, it happened at 11:50. Okay, so at this point in time, it would be 11:50. It would have occurred there on ES. So now we can safely look for a EM2 reversal model. The only swing high I can see here is that. You could argue that this is the swing high there. But for this bearish scenario, I want to see a swing high be created by a bullish candle, but this is a bearish candle. So let's see what happens. So we created another break of structure there. So now this is the next area. I'd be looking for a 10-minute bullish market structure shift. Okay, this little high right here doesn't count because this created slight equal lows, so I'm not interested in that area. Anyways, remember we would be identifying these breaks of structure using the 5-minute time frame, and we can see here we had a nice little reversal liquidity sweep, which is excellent. So it's kind of making this trade look very, very nice for a buy. Now we can enter off of this order block here, given that it's within our parameters. Let's see. So if on NASDAQ specifically, if the stop loss is above 100 ticks, but not above 200 ticks, we can take this for a 2R rather than a 3R, just to be safe. So let's see what happens. Okay, so we had our entry, and then when we got that entry, we can see here that we have a new 10-minute swing high that we need to take out in order for us to set break even onto the entry. So once we break that high, given that we don't hit stop loss, I'm going to be setting break even on the entry, as there really shouldn't be any reason for it to come back down once we break that high. Oh, damn. Well, that's really unfortunate. Okay, so unfortunately, the market really just seemed to have died down around this time. So no matter what, I'm really looking to take, we'll close the entry no matter what it's at 4 p.m. Eastern. And we can see here at around that time, the market really just was not going anywhere. So I would have closed this trade off here as with partials. I do not count partials as a win or a loss or no entry. It's just nothing. As it's just not really something that I'm looking to take like ever. It's just an accident. So NASDAQ, partials, and then stop loss size was 156. I always risk 0.5, especially with my Fivers account. It's kind of required. Okay. Post that there, and then we'll just leave a note. That's actually the PM session. We'll leave a note here that market close. No problem. It is what it is. So now that we saw that happen, hold on, just give me 1 second. I'm not entirely sure what just happened there. NQZ 2022. Okay, ESZ 2022. Oh, whoa, we are not in 29, 22. Damn. ESZ 2022. And then we want to see NQZ 2022. Okay. And then let's go over to November the 22nd, 2022. Scroll over here to 8 a.m. Get our replay tool quickly. I'm not at all interested in seeing that. Okay, let's remove all our drawings. Okay. First things first, check the news. What's going on? We have orange news all day. 10 a.m. we have Richmond Manufacturing Index. 11 we have FOMC Mester, and then 2:15 we have George and FOMC member Bullard. So let's mark up our news. That is the first thing that we are doing. Nothing else matters. So we will always want to leave a 15-minute buffer before news and a 15-minute buffer after the news, just as a bunch of safety precautions. So the news starts at 10, so we're going to leave our marker at 10:48. And then we'll leave another marker just slightly after the news as well. And then we also have 11 a.m., which is Mester, so 10:48. And then we'll also do 11:12, and then from 1:48 to about 2:15. So we are not going to be trading, we are not going to be executing trades within these orange boxes that we have drawn up here. So now that we have news drawn up, let's look at our daily liquidity. So let's take a look at Monday. This is the low that Monday created. And then look for our high, which seems to be swept at 8 a.m. on ES at least. So that leaves us with either looking for a EM3 continuation, or it could also be that we are looking for a EM2 reversal. But honestly, this is kind of a tight range, really. So I think a EM3 continuation really makes the most sense, but I don't predict market. I react to the market price, which is the reason why the way that I explain things is really just like the possibilities, because that's really all the market is. You will never be able to completely predict the market. That whoever tells you that is lying to you. So react, don't predict. Okay. This is way too much noise. I need to remove that down. So let's go to 10-minute time frame. Let's go on the NASDAQ as well. Quickly drop these lines here. So let's see, Monday. Oh, we actually swept the previous day low pretty quickly on Monday. Interesting, because on ES, this is still the 22nd, really? November 22nd. November 22nd. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so we actually... Okay, so on ES, we can see that we swept the previous day high. It didn't even go near the previous day low. But on NASDAQ, we swept the previous day low, and we're not near the previous day high. So this is one of those scenarios where you really got to ask yourself, is it worth trading that day? Now, when I tell you within the 2 years of data that I have backtested so far, this is not something that I see. It's really not something that I see that often, where sort of the things that occur within the market are just flipped almost. So this is not even something we can't trade this because it goes against my rules. The whole point of my rules is to ensure that the biases are aligned. Otherwise, there's just no point. It's really just a matter of speculation at that point. So for that reason, I cannot be taking any entries, unfortunately. Let's see how the market plays out. So we swept the previous day low. And then we continued up to the previous day high again. Yeah, this was a very volatile day. Let's see if it occurred during the news time. Actually, yeah, it really did. We had a fake out on New York Open, and then we had another fake out during news. And we come over here to the FOMC member timing. Yeah, pretty much whole bunch of fake outs, whole lot of nothing. Let's see what happens on ES. So I guess in this case, ES was really showing the real narrative, which is interesting. But yeah, nothing really I could have taken there. So something for the notes: if the biases are not aligned, especially if they're flipped, like cheese flipped, like that doesn't happen too often. That's why I'm shocked. Just don't trade that day. I'm not even gonna leave a note. Okay. So let's take a look at Wednesday news here. 8:30, we got unemployment, core durable goods, flash services PMI at Red News, new home sales, crude oil, FOMC. So pretty much, because FOMC is in the PM session, I'm really only going to be looking for an entry on the morning session. So let's go over to our charts. 12-minute time frame. First, we got to catch up to Wednesday. Let's take a look. Okay. Do the same for NASDAQ. Okay. Now let's remember that we need to mark up our news. Very important, tedious. I don't care. Mark up your news. Don't forget that shit, because I messed up before many times doing that. Stop doing that. It's a very stupid mistake to do. So 8:30, we're not going to be trading. Well, actually, I think there's more news. So yeah, 8:30. So 12-minute time frame. What happened to my chart? This is so stupid. Oh, okay. I guess I have more than... Okay. Okay, that was my bad. My bad. So let's take a look at ES here. Identify our daily liquidity areas. So Tuesday, this is our previous day high. It's kind of just been one-sided ever since yesterday. And then, okay, I'm not marking the previous day low because there's just no way it's coming all the way down here, but who knows? Bunch of previous session lows right here that can be used. Very nice, very nice. Oh, actually, so this is not a premium array yet because it hasn't been swept. So it's just a previous session low, and then we have a previous session high. Okay, let's do the same on NASDAQ really quickly here, just because it is getting late. So we got our previous day low. We have our previous day high, which got swept before our session. And then there's just another session high, which actually we can't use as a discount anyways because it's above the previous day low. That wouldn't be a discount. So we would be looking for a EM2 towards these previous session lows. And if these previous session lows get swept, then there would be no entry. Okay, so before I forget, because I seriously almost forgot, we are not taking an entry during news, so we want to leave a buffer of minimum 10 to 15 minutes before and after. So it started at 8:30, so 48, and then the other one was at 9:45, so we're not going to be entering from 9:36 over to 10:12, and then we're going to stop. Well, actually, we don't have to stop trading for FOMC. It's just super risky and unlikely, but I will still mark up that area there. So pretty much within those 15-minute buffers there, I am not going to be executing any entries. But if I'm in an entry and the news occurs, then I just let it play out. It just happens like that. So I am looking for a EM2 sell. So let's identify our 10-minute swing low, which would be this point right here. The bias on ES and NASDAQ is both aligned, so I'm looking for EM2 sell towards all of this sell side liquidity here, or the previous session low. So let's let it play out. Okay, we had our market structure shift, but it is unfortunately looking like the entry might happen during that news area. So if we take our fib tool and we see the market structure shift, we can see it's very strong. So we can delete this first line. I essentially don't want to take an entry until at least 8:40 a.m. So this is going to be the 5-minute order block here. But if the entry occurs before 8:40, I'm not going to enter. However, as long as we don't have that 10-minute break of structure, say if the market keeps on going down and then it comes back up, as long as the entry doesn't happen before 8:40 and it doesn't get invalidated, then we can still take this entry. Ooh, it really happened around there. So we can see here that unfortunately it got entered at 8:35, and we can see here news was at 8:30. And if we got tagged into the entry, it just would have been a really nice, and that would have been a 4R that we'd be aiming for as well, simply because of the stop loss size. But we can also see here that we did not get our entry, unfortunately, but it is what it is. It happens. And then we can also see here that we had another break of structure. So the whole trade idea was just invalidated really completely. So we'd be deleting this order here. because once we meet our target, the order just becomes invalidated entirely. That's why we would have deleted the order there, even though we could have had another op after the news. But once that target gets swept, it's just done, right? So now let's take a look at NASDAQ here, just because ES there was no entry. So before I forget, let's mark up the news again. 820 is okay, and then 840 is okay. 930 to 950. These are just my buffer zones, and then 150 for the other news. So where is our 10-minute swing low? It's going to be, hold on. I mean, it's technically here, just because that's not a swing, unfortunately, but who knows? Maybe it will make another swing high. Okay, so we can see that we had our 10-minute market structure shift. However, this is the reason why I have my fib tool here as my fib strength tool. We can see that the candle body closed above of my two red lines rather than below. For this case, I need them to be below. So if the third candle doesn't close below, we are not going to be looking for any sells, and this is not going to be an opportunity. So we can see that the market continued to push up after 3 candles, so the continuation is invalid. And as far as I'm concerned, there is no more entry here whatsoever. Now, we can continue to look for an EM2 given that we have a new 10-minute MSS, so we'd have to break this swing high up here in order for us to look for another bearish MSS. Okay, so we broke that. Now we could potentially look for another entry, which could be at this point here. So we can delete all these lines because they were just for us to see when news was. Okay. It's just kind of looking like a big range, really. Yeah. Okay. All right. It's nothing again for ES and NASDAQ. Unfortunately, it is what it is. So let's take a look at Thursday. Is a bank holiday, so that means we are not trading Thursday. So Friday is our last chance here for an entry. We've really just had a bunch of ops all week, but it does happen. Let's just take a look at what happens here. Friday after a bank holiday is a little bit risky, so we just gotta play our cards correctly. What's it called as well? On Friday, I only trade AM session. I don't trade PM session. So that leaves us with just one more session to look for an entry. We don't have any news on Friday at all, so we should be good on that point. Okay. Thursday, actually, that's a bank holiday. We're still waiting on Friday. Okay, so let's draw up our previous day highs and previous day lows. So if we take a look at Thursday, this is our previous day high. And if we take a look at the daily low, it's going to be this area right here, which it looks like we swept already. So now we got to look for either EM2 or EM3. However, all of this occurred before the time that we trade at. So I'm only going to be looking for an EM2. But ideally, if I'm looking for an EM2, I want to see this low get broken first, because the whole point of EM2 is I'm essentially trying to catch that reversal up towards the session liquidity. So Um, let's just draw up our session highs here. It's not really looking that good though, but you know, keep our hopes up. NASDAQ, okay, let's take a look here. Previous day high. And then the previous day low. So the biases are aligned on here, which is excellent. I am looking for some buys. Let me just mark up the lunch hour, as that is when we are going to stop trading on Friday, which is noon. Okay. Go down to the 10-minute time frame. Remember, I am looking for that low to get swept before I consider any buys. So there we go. Nice. The low did get swept. So where is our 10-minute area for a market structure shift? It's going to be this point right here. However, the way things are looking, we might make another break of structure before we actually look for a buy. Yeah, no entries for ES on Friday. Let's take a look here at NASDAQ. So where is our 10-minute swing right here for our market structure shift? It's going to be this point right here. Excellent. Okay, we created a new swing high right there as we broke structure again. Alrighty. Okay, so that concludes the trading week. It's actually very rare that I see a trading week with no trades. However, you know, it does happen. Let's take a look quickly at the results for November, just in case you haven't watched the other videos. We can see for November so far, week 1 we have 7R, week 2 we have 2R, so we're up 9 already. Week 3 we're up 5, so we're up 14R. So far in the month of November, as of November the 26th, we are up a significant amount of R, very profitable. So we got one more week. Well, we have a couple days left of the month to see what we close out with. Thanks for tuning in, and then we will see what the next backtesting session holds.